I'm super hyped. Okay, here we go, folks. So we're on this mole problem here, and we are asked to answer this question. So does increasing the amount of calcium in our diet reduce blood pressure? Examination of a large sample of people revealed a relationship between calcium intake and blood pressure. The relationship was strongest for black men. Such observational studies do not establish causation, however. We discussed how observational studies, you can't make a causal. Researchers therefore designed a randomized comparative experiment. The subjects were 21 healthy black men who volunteered, that's going to be important for us to talk about, volunteered, and they were randomly, that's going to be important, assigned to two groups. 10 men received a calcium supplement for 12 weeks, while the control group of 11 men received a placebo. The experiment was double-blind. We know what that means. The response variable, the Y, is the decrease in systolic, which is the top. So the blood pressure is always two numbers, as you all know. Systolic is the top number for a subject after 12 weeks in millimeters of mercury. An increase is a negative number. Okay, so this positive numbers mean that blood pressure went down. Negative numbers, blood pressure went up. Here are the data. Do the data provide convincing evidence that a calcium supplement reduces blood pressure more than a placebo? Carry out appropriate tests to support your answer. Okay, step one is name the test. So I'm going to come right here, right, number one. I'm going to go two sample t-test. We're going to say it's two sample because I'm comparing two samples. Comparing two samples. And we're going to say t-test because we don't really know what's going on with the population. We only know what's happening with our two samples because the population, by the way, I noticed every single person, I think, on the quiz got this number one right. I was very happy. When to use a t-test, and the population standard deviation is unknown. Very good. I was happy to see that. I think people did quite well on the quiz. I haven't actually finished grading all of them. I apologize. Because the population standard deviation is unknown. So do people like the take-home quizzes? It's okay? No? All right. Okay, second piece is we need to define the parameters. So we'll call it mu calcium. And that'll be equal to the average decrease in systolic, which is that top number, systolic blood pressure for after 12 weeks. After 12 weeks for men who took calcium. For men, let me scroll up. Men who took calcium. And mu placebo equals average decrease in systolic blood pressure after 12 weeks for men who took the placebo. Men who took the placebo. Who took the placebo. Any questions on defining the parameters? All right, so let's move into the null and alternative. Many of you are able to do this without me. If you are, feel free to jump in. I'll do it on the board here, but I want to give those who are still copying this down a couple of seconds to get it down before I switch the page. All right, so let me take this page away. And we're going to say null hypothesis is that the calcium equals the placebo, And the alternative is, let's see, that this one reduces the blood pressure by more than the placebo. Okay, so calcium better or more than placebo. Questions on this? Okay. The next piece is the conditions. I call it 2. You don't have to write the whole 2 here on the AP exam if you just start like a new little area on the page. So the conditions are, we had a problem here, right? Because these people volunteered. So we have to acknowledge that they volunteered. Now, they were randomly assigned to the group, so at least we had a little bit of randomization. So you might write something like the following. By the way, they will never give you a problem on the AP where like they want you to stop because one of the conditions failed. Like they want you to do the whole thing, just acknowledge the conditions. They'll always work. So you would just say, although people volunteered, they were randomly assigned to the 2 groups. So there was some random selection. And because these people were randomly assigned to the 2 groups, right, we can also say that the groups are independent. It's not like taking the calcium pill somehow affects the placebo people. These are like 2 completely independent groups of individuals. Having the calcium has no effect on placebo people and vice versa. So I would say the calcium group and placebo group are independent of each other. Independent of each other. Independent of each other. I mean, now here's the slightly new wrinkle that comes. Slightly new wrinkle. I was oversimplifying a little bit too much, but we will correct that mistake. Oversimplification, whatever you want to call it. I had always said, right? Your question, brother? No. I had always said, just be like, oh, sample size is this, central limit theorem applies, therefore it's normally distributed, blah, blah. The AP exam wants us to be a little bit more precise, so they want us to do the following. And this is on the video I uploaded from one of the multiple choice questions on the problem set due tomorrow. I just put it up today. If, and you want to write this down as a note, if n, sample size, is greater than 30, then use the central limit theorem and if n is less than 30, and of course sample size, then we must draw a box plot. Take a stroll down memory lane, draw a box plot to verify the symmetry. Box plot to verify the symmetry. So for this one, unfortunately, we have to draw a box plot. The AP exam will have 2 hypothesis questions. One of them they'll ask you to draw the box plot. One of them they won't. Standard thing. So how do we do this? Got to put the data in to the calculator. Let's get the calculators out. So, really hurt. Okay. You need to click, so we need to put the data in, and please notice that we have 2 groups of data. We have 2 groups, so you need to put it into 2 lists. So for the 83, 84 people, we go stat. Come up here. We go stat. We go edit. And then you put one set of data in L1, one set of data in L2. Let's go ahead and do that, please. For the Inspire folks, we go to New Document. No, we don't want to save. We add lists in Spreadsheet, and we have two lists. Maybe like A and B, or X and Y, whatever you want to call it, is fine. Let me put the data in. I already happen to have it into my 8384 when I was working the problem earlier. I'm going to put it now into the Inspire. You all please do the same for whichever calculator you have. Order does not matter, just to restate Tamar's question from a couple days ago, I believe. But no need to rearrange the order. You might make a mistake, so don't want to risk that. Okay. Want to go ahead and get both data in. Now, so right now we're just drawing the box plots. We're not doing any of the t-tests yet. We're just going to draw the box plots for both. So box plots for Inspire, you go Menu, come down to Statistics, come over here to Stat Calculations, call it One Variable Statistics, right? You have your list, click OK. This is called the X list. I called it variable X. Going to scroll down, click OK, and there's my data. And then I'm going to redo that for the other list, and I'm going to draw my two box plots. Let's go ahead with that. Shamara. One variable. Two variables is like if you have like X and Y. We're not there yet. Yeah, so like I still put one. You might be able to put two, and it might display the data side by side. I'm not sure about that. You can try it. I just do it with one, and I do it again. On the 8384, I go Stat. Then I come over here to Calc, and I go 1 bar Stats, and I tell it it's N. List is L1. Frequency list is no frequency, and just click Calculate, and there's my data. And then I'm going to redo that for L2. Alex. No, I'm going to draw it now, but yeah. Yep. Yep. Variable name? Yep. You click OK. Oh, okay. So then you need, okay, I'll show you what to do. Okay, so repeating on Inspire, we go Menu, we go Statistics, Stat Calculations, One Variable Statistics. Has anybody tried to do it with a two list, Victoria? It works? So you go, okay, so on Inspire, I guess you can go to two lists, because we have two lists of data. And then we click Enter, and so we do X1 list, we call that column X. X2 list, we call it Y. And now, here's where your challenge came. Alex, make sure that this first result column is somewhere to the right of where you are. So like letter E or B, or like, sorry, E, F, G, so it's on the right so it doesn't override data. Click Enter, and here we have it for both. Scoot over to the right. Okay, let me come around and check. It doesn't matter what you do. So now begin to draw the box plots, those are the data. We're not there yet. Now there. We're just doing the one variable statistics to draw the box plots.